This is the information meeting prior to construction for City Project 2020-09D, Delaney Court and Delaney Circle improvements. I'm Jake Moser, a staff engineer with the city. I'm joined tonight with Luke Morin. He's the project engineer with Kimley Horn, who prepared the plans and is providing professional services for the city. And we also have our project inspector, engineering technician Nicole Portugal is with us tonight as well. So the agenda for tonight, I'll give hopefully sub 20-minute PowerPoint presentation, and then we'll have a question and answer session at the end. So I'll start with a brief project overview and then go through the proposed improvements, give a general project status update, present kind of the construction schedule and some considerations, frequently asked questions about what happens during construction, and then we'll have a open question and answer session. So tonight's meeting format is a live webinar where you'll be able to ask your questions with just speaking. So I'll just point out that you do have a microphone icon on your interface here with Microsoft Teams. We ask that people keep their microphone off during the presentation, and then you can turn it on to ask a question, and hopefully we can have a good dialogue, and it's easier than typing questions in like our last meetings, and we just don't want to be talking over each other too much. So we'll do our best and sort through it at the end. So project overview. This is for street improvements for Delaney Circle and Delaney Court. The scope of the improvements, it's considered a partial reconstruction of both streets. It includes a few roadway and driveway culvert replacements and some minor ditch grading improvements for stormwater drainage. The proposed street improvements is very similar to what exists today. It'll be a new bituminous pavement though, with a reclaimed or new aggregate base and new shouldering. This is considered a partial reconstruction because we're not replacing any further sub-base soils. The existing sand that the road's built on is in good condition. It will include a little bit of ditch foreslope grading and seeding of disturbed areas, just where the new gravel shoulder is tying into the existing ditch, and so there'll be a little bit of disturbance to lawns just up against the road. It's a 24-foot wide paved surface with 2-foot gravel shoulders. That'll be uniform throughout the neighborhood. Today, the street varies a little bit from 22 to 24 feet in width, and in some spots there's not a gravel shoulder. So it'll be a consistent street width throughout the entire neighborhood. And there are no city utilities, sewer, water planned for this project. So the scope of the stormwater improvements, it's limited to there's 3 locations where there's driveway culverts that need to be replaced. Those are shown in red dots on this map. There is 3 roadway crossing culverts shown by the green lines on this map. And then there's a few locations where the ditch will be regraded to convey stormwater better. That's shown in the purple lines on this map. Overall project status update since the last information meeting we had. That was prior to the public improvement hearing where council ordered this project. The city received bids on April 27th, and then city council awarded the project. McNamara Contracting was the low bidder. That occurred on May 10th. The next step following tonight's meeting is the tentative construction start is scheduled for the week of June 14th, with a project completion expected in early August. I believe this was announced prior to the public improvement hearing, but at council direction and based on some feedback from residents, we're moving the assessment hearing to after construction and the final assessments will be proposed based on actual construction costs. So there will be another informational meeting and like this, another mailing that goes out after construction, and another city council hearing that will determine the final assessments and the cost to the residents for this project. The bidding summary, we had excellent bids on this job. The low bid construction cost came in at just under $580,000, whereas in the preliminary estimate, it was $660,000. So we're $80,000 less on construction cost. The preliminary assessment amounts from the feasibility study, they are still the proposed preliminary assessments. It's $9,600 per parcel, the same amount for every lot in the neighborhood. And the final assessment amounts will be determined based on total project costs following construction. So this is a brief overview of the construction process for this project. The first thing you'll see is small utility locate flags and some paint on the ground, along with surveyors staking construction limits, and there will be silt fence placed on the limits of disturbance around the road, on either side of the road, and in the areas where there's the ditch grading proposed. That will be kind of defined by that black silt fence. Actual construction will start likely with the contractor coming in with a reclaimer that will pulverize the existing asphalt surface, mix it up with the existing aggregate gravel base. That will be the new base material, the paving platform. They're gonna have to regrade it and compact that, but that process might take a week or a little bit more, but the road will be drivable as a gravel surface during that time. There's the construction method for Delaney Court will be a little bit different. That does require a replacement to that base aggregate gravel. That's going to be proposed to be done in halves. Half the street will be closed and excavated, and the base will be replaced, and traffic will be maintained on just one lane. And then they'll finish, or they'll just have the gravel placed for that side, switch to the other side, move traffic over. So that's how we're expecting to maintain traffic for the cul-de-sac for Delaney Court residents. After the base work is generally done, they'll go replace, install the new culverts. That'll be followed by final grading and compaction of the aggregate base. Then they'll pave the first 2-inch lift and compact the first 2 inches of asphalt pavement on the road and driveways. Then they'll finish with the boulevard and ditch grading, seeding, and the shouldering material. And then the final 2 inches of final lift of pavement, the final 2 inches. So there will be 4 total inches of new asphalt pavement placed. The construction considerations on this slide are a lot of the frequently asked questions that is a concern to residents impacted, but residential driveway access will generally be maintained at all times. It will be restricted when there's equipment operating directly in front of your driveway, but that'll be a fairly brief period of time. Delaney Court, as I mentioned, that'll be constructed in halves to maintain traffic. Garbage and recycling services, that's a requirement that the contractor coordinates with your collection companies to maintain that regular service. Their contractor will basically just have to keep the road open for everyone on that collection day. And then package deliveries, that'll be consistent with residential access. That's a requirement that the contractor maintains access for delivery trucks. Mailboxes, that's another condition that's placed on the contractor. They are required to coordinate with the postmaster. So they're going to have to relocate mailboxes while the road's under construction. There may likely be a common mailbox cluster location somewhere, but that's out of control of the city. It's contractor responsibility to coordinate with the postmaster, but how that is managed is the postmaster's decision. So we kind of have limited ability, and it will be an inconvenience during construction, but hopefully it's a short period of time. So there will, next bullet is there will not be a city driveway replacement program offered. In final design, the driveway apron impacts were all minimized. We revised the road profile, so it will be matching existing today. So we're not going to expect to have to remove driveway aprons. There's not going to be a new 10 feet of driveway apron pavement. That's where the driveway program becomes cost effective for some residents who want a full driveway, but sorry, that's not an option. We got feedback from some residents, and in final design, we're able to keep the road profile like it is today, so we'll be able to match existing driveways. Then turf establishment is the next bullet. The disturbed areas where a lawn is disturbed adjacent to the road, that will be reseeded. There will be new topsoil placed, and that will be seeded. And it's the contractor's responsibility to maintain that seed until it establishes healthy grass cover. So we do ask that residents don't mow it, that young grass, until it's long enough to fall over on itself. That helps that grass become established and not burn off too quick. Do got Nicole's contact. Nicole Portugal is an engineering technician with the city. She is going to be the primary project inspector. There will be other city staff out there occasionally, but Nicole will be the primary contact if you have any questions or concerns during construction. So we got Nicole's number here, my number as well. I'm Jake. You can call Nicole or me at any time. And project engineer Luke's number is on here too. But feel free to reach out to Nicole or myself with any questions. And that does it for my brief presentation here. So we're going to open the floor to questions. Just remember
and Jake, I did mute a few folks while you were presenting. So if you're talking and neither Jake or I are responding, it may be just that I placed you on mute. So go ahead and unmute yourself before you speak.
There's a little microphone icon on my computer, it's in the upper right-hand corner. So make sure that is unmuted if you want to ask a question.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
As far as where the mailbox in its final placement will be, how close to the mailbox does the road come?
Thank you for the question. I've got a little
there you go.
city plate here. The city standard is we have there's 2 feet of additional paved surface within about 30 feet on either side of the mailbox locations. There's gonna be a little extra gravel surface there too. There's a different detail. Showing the placement, but I believe it is 6 inches from the edge of asphalt, and that asphalt will be bumped out 2 feet from the typical edge of road at all the mailbox locations.
Do we have to take a mailbox down?
They will.
It will, yeah, it will require relocating mailboxes.
Oh.
And for those folks who weren't, I know this topic got discussed a little bit before the meeting started. The purpose of that additional width on the pavement at the mailboxes is to protect the edge as and Brad kind of noted this when he asked the question originally, the pavement just when the mail truck pulls off the road to put the mail in your mailbox tends to get onto that edge and increase the rate at which the edge of that starts to erode. So by providing that extra width of the bituminous, that helps to protect that and increase the life of the pavement.
Where are they gonna put the mailboxes?
Okay, as far as the mailboxes do go, then the city is gonna, or the contractor is gonna take them out and we put them back in, is that correct?
The contractor will remove them and they will also reinstall them.
Okay.
While the road work is occurring, the contractor is required to get direction from the postmaster. What we expect is there will likely be a shared mailbox cluster, probably up at Inver Grove Trail. This is what typically happens on other projects. So you'll likely have to go to that shared, everyone will have their own mailbox, but it will be a cluster probably up near Inver Grove Trail. We don't know for sure. It's at the discretion of the postmaster, and the contractor is required to perform that work. They have to set up the temporary mailbox locations and update the residents on how that will, where they can go to get their mail.
And you'll receive a notification ahead of the mailboxes coming down, telling you approximately when that's going to happen, and then also what the location of the temporary mailboxes will be.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. Is anybody else on? Are we the only ones on?
No, all these guys are on there.
Oh. Any other questions?
Can you hear me? This is Jeff Don.
Oh,
Yep, we hear you, Jeff.
Hey, do we have sorry, I joined a little bit late. Do we have a start date then as June 14th? And do we have some type of completion date then?
Yep, the start date, it'll be on or about, not sooner than June 14th.
Okay.
That'll be the earliest start date. There's a substantial completion date, I believe, of June 30th. That means that's when at least the first lift of pavement has to be down. I'm not sure if it includes the wear course too, and then I think the final completion is mid-August.
August 13th.
Okay. Yeah, but do you guys feel that if they get the base coat down, do you think that there's any reason that they'll drag it out to August 30th, or will they just put the base or the wear course down and get this job over with?
We'd expect them to be able to get this done pretty quick. It is.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought too. There's no advantage to dragging it out for them, is there? I mean, there's nothing that you guys need to have it drug out for that time frame. Is there that we're not talking about?
Nope.
Yeah.
Just so you know, the other city reconstruction project in the Bryant Lane neighborhood, that is also a McNamara project. They're starting on June 14th there too. They should be able to coordinate both of them.
Okay.
I wouldn't expect there's any reason that it gets there's
to
no
get drug out.
Drag it out. I mean, there's always weather, and it is construction, and
I've been doing projects in Inver Grove for the last 9 years, and McNamara's been a pretty frequent low bid contractor, and I haven't experienced any issues.
No.
They're pretty good about, they just want to
really
get in, get it done, and
They're a
do
good contractor, and I agree that they'll just want to come in once they do all the reclaiming and get the base down. They'll want to get the wear course down and get the shoulders back on and get out of here. There's no advantage to dragging it out. That's why I was just asking if there was some other thing that you guys had built into that, because it seemed a little long to me on the duration of the job. They don't need nearly that kind of time to do this project. So I get that there's weather involved, but that's probably the biggest factor.
Mailbox.
Oh, yeah, they can't. Did you unmute it? Please speak when not speaking.
I'm not hearing questions. We'll stick around here as long as we can. There's one thing I wanted to mention, regarding schedule updates. Everyone who's registered for this on the, for this Teams meeting, if you got the email and you went to the city website and registered, you're going to be enrolled in this Notify Me email service we have, so that our project inspector can email out updates. We'll try to give updates on, for this project, it's mainly the big items are if the reclaimer's starting, what phase of the project you're doing. If we're paving, that's definitely something we'll try to include updates on that Notify Me. So I'd encourage you to, I believe most people here had signed up already for that. Encourage your neighbors to do that too, or feel free to share that information with your neighbors too. It's a good way to stay up to date on the project. So.
All right. Hey, Jake, I got one question for you. This is Jeff Don again.
Yes, sir.
I missed the first part of the meeting. So is there any of the residents out here that are going to have the end of their driveways, the blacktop or concrete? Are they going to have those redone by the contractor? Is that their responsibility if they want the driveways taken care of? Because there's a few of them that need driveway. The last 10 feet of their driveway needs to be redone. Is that being done on this contract, or does a homeowner have to contact the contractor and have them work out a deal with them? How is that working out on this?
At this point, we're matching the roadway profile, so we're not expecting to replace any driveways. All of them are going to need some reasonable saw cut line. We're expecting to be able to do that pretty close to the edge of the street pavement.
Yep, I agree with that.
We're expecting to keep all of the concrete driveways intact. There is a couple of a couple of driveway culverts that are being replaced, and that will require that the driveway apron to be replaced to that point.
Okay.
That's based on drainage issues. So that will be included in this contract, but that's necessary for conveying stormwater, which is contributed from the street, it's kind of everyone's shared responsibility. So in general, we're very much minimizing driveway impacts to.
All right, perfect. Yep. No, that's the right answer. That's good. Sounds like this party's over.
I'm a dud host.
Let's get out of here.
I guess I will point out if someone's screaming at their computer trying to ask a question right now and we're not hearing you, please double check if your microphone icon, if you're on a computer, it's in the upper right hand corner of your screen. Make sure that is clicked on if you're trying to ask a question. And again, questions are always welcome. Feel free to contact me. My number 651-450-2489. That's my office phone, but it does route to my cell phone if I'm out, or email. So if any other questions pop up, feel free to reach out. We're happy to answer questions.
Maybe Jake will hang around for another 5 minutes or so. Folks, we don't have more information to share, so folks either want to stick on, that's great. Otherwise, maybe a couple minutes after 6:30, we'll call it good.
Thanks
Hey.
for coming, everyone.
Hey, Jake, this is just Jeff Don again. I just say thanks for working on this deal and putting it together the way you did. And I think it's put together pretty, straightforward. There isn't any too much fluff built in anything there anymore. And it's priced right. And I think everybody should be happy when this thing gets done. So appreciate all your help on this thing.
Thank you. Well, it's resident supported. All the neighborhoods request, the whole neighborhood, or most of the neighborhood signed the petition for it, and
Yeah.
This is a
No, it was long overdue. It needed to be done. So, and it's just basic. And this road's going to hold up better because the original road was just with that 2-inch mat with that 6 inches of base, and it held up for as long as it has. So this new road with reclaiming it, compacting it, and putting a 4-inch mat on there, it's going to hold up for a long time.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody. I'm going to say goodbye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
You bet.
Jeff or Gary, anything else?
No, I was just hanging out in case somebody else said something. I'll get out of here too. You guys got better stuff to do. Thanks for your help. See ya.
You can always reach out to me, give me a phone call, shoot me an email if you have any other questions.
Sounds good. All right. See you guys.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Yep. Bye.
And Gary, I know I did mute you. I think when you jumped on. So if you do have a question, if you just want to unmute yourself, otherwise I think we'll wrap it up.
Nope, everything sounds good. Have a good night.
Thanks for coming. Thanks, Gary.
Thanks.
Yep.